Hi, my name is Timothytrespas, and I'm a human being who has found himself the object of attention that I didn't want. A victim of gang stalking, torture, morgellons, basically exposed to different biological and nanotechnological materials and creatures, and our life has never been the same. The reason I'm making this video is because I'm walking down the street and there's these plants and they're dying of thirst, and it's really, really hot. As you can see, the sun is really bright, and so I got this bucket of water there, and I'm like, what's going on? So I water the plants. I go and get more water, but these people have these beautiful plants. See how beautiful they are? They're purple, and the sunlight reflects off of them, and they're just beautiful. They're so beautiful. Look at how beautiful their plants are. And I thought to myself, tears streaming down my eyes, that God really does make the most beautiful things. And then I say, well, what do human beings make? What do we make? I don't know if you can see that up there. Long, white things that just go forever. And the funny clouds that look like, when you go to the beach and you look at the water on the sand where the waves come in, and the patterns that the waves, that the water, the currents, the microcurrents, as the water goes back and forth, leaves ripples on the sand. And if the clouds are the sand, then the waves are scalar energies being produced by various high altitude auroral research programs, ionospheric heating, and other scalar producing energy, weather modification. And because of stuff like this, I have one tooth. I'm going blind, although I can see light now. I see light as tiny spinning photons. I see light as clouds of photonic energy. I see light not only as it is emitted from the light bulb or the light source. I see light as it travels from the source to the objects it hits, and I see the reflections even more. The amount of reflected light, of indirect light that my eyes now pick up has multiplied manyfold. I can't even estimate how many times, but basically it's completely changed the way that I view the world. And I know I'm getting off the subject. The subject was how beautiful the things that God creates are. That lady was wearing a flower on her shirt, and she smiled at me. Around here in Bushwick, we have an interesting phenomenon where many of the countries, the nations, and the world's lesbian, gay women have decided that Bushwick is now the de facto home to be, as you can see. And it's been listed in all the magazines as, the coolest place to be, and blah, 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 the third coolest place on earth, or whatever, I don't know. All a bunch of nonsense. But they've come in droves, and so now at least a third of the women that I see, if not more, half, a lot of them give me this look like, oh, you're a man, and they just automatically hate me. There are a few who mistake me for a woman, Maybe because their eyesight isn't so good, or because I'm so pretty. And they smile for a moment. And then there's those that are a little more open to life and smile because
Hey, yo, I hope they didn't threw my shit out in the car wash, bro.
that I'm, well, stuff happens. That I'm a fellow being, and, you know, some people are more open-minded about life. So I'm babbling now, but again, I mean, look at this stuff in the sky. Come on. I've been here almost 50 years on this place, this planet, this go-round, if there's been more, I don't know. And I grew up looking at the sky, looking at the clouds, looking at the lights following my car around when I was a little kid, looking at the other stuff. Yeah, we used to have these lights. I would lay in the back seat of the car, and I would look up. I would look up at the sky. And as you're driving, as the car goes, we can do it now. And you're laying in the back seat looking up. Wow, look at that sky. And then the car turns. So everything else turns. All the angles turn. Right? You remember that as a little kid? Looking up at the sky. And I would see the wires following, you know, the street wires, the power lines, and watch them go up and down and down. And almost always, when we went out, like to go to visit my aunt or anywhere for a longer journey that wasn't just like to the store, and I would see this light in the sky, a little light, and I thought it was maybe an airplane or something at first, but I noticed that the airplanes all sort of just go straight and they don't really turn or anything, they just sort of go. But this light, as we turned, you know, going for miles and miles, we're driving along, this light would stay right with us in the sky. Well, look at this crap. I mean, it's not much, you know? It's not much, it's not crisscrossing the skies or whatever, but it's disgusting. I don't need this stuff in my world. And it is my world just as much as it's yours. You want nanoparticulates and biologicals and nanomems and stuff falling out of your sky into everything? Because you breathe it in, it goes in your skin, it goes in the water, it goes in the food. They're already putting it in the food and the cosmetics. So we're being forced to adopt, adapt, or die. Hey, maybe that's just the way it is. I don't know. But it would be nice if we all sat down and had a talk about it. We were all on the same page, you know? There are 6 billion or more human beings on this planet. That's a lot of human beings, that's a lot of voices. And how many people are in control of this whole thing? 1%, they say. And it extends out in the hierarchy of protective and protected and, you know, not in my backyard and whatever else. It's all nonsense. 6 billion people, all with a God-given right to speak, to exist, to live, to breathe, to drink, to replicate, to fight, to love. And what are we doing? What are we doing? Hating each other because we look different? Hating each other because we sound different? Hating each other because we practice different rituals and worship? Hating each other because we don't even know why. And there's something I wanted to bring to your attention. Whether this is technological in nature, artificial intelligence and Skynet and all the other stuff, whether it's biological in nature, the biotechnology that they're using to change our genetics and measure everything and modify everything and implant everything, or whether it's some combination of, I forgot, spiritual. There is the unseen world, the giant world beyond our vision, our tiny narrow slit of vision, smaller than my front tooth. 300 to about 750 nanometers, so it's actually less than that. A tiny slit through which you see the reality. Oh, the music made me completely forget what I was talking about. Ah, yes, just a tiny part of this entire electromagnetic spectrum. I mean, to make something invisible to the human eye really isn't that hard. All you have to make it do is reflect all the light, or absorb all the light, or bend all the light. I forget. My brain is so turned into mucus by this disease. Anyway, I guess my whole point was that the things that God makes are beautiful, that they're alive, that they're conscious, that they're sentient, and they speak to you. Because I was walking down the street, there were these plants that were dying of thirst in the sun, and there was a bottle of water right there, right in their view or sensory. And I heard this cry, "Water, help us, thirsty." And I don't know, my mind put the words to it because I know the concepts and I saw the situation, but the signal that arrived that said, "Hey, you, pay attention, we need something," was not derived fully internally. So, and I kid myself. I'm like, yeah, here I am looking like a crazy man walking around taking dirty water out of the street to go water some people's plants who I don't even know. I gotta walk through the yard and stomp right now. I'm like, oh, because we got all this stuff in the city. We got fences everywhere. Fences and gates and locks and doors and walls and security and cameras and, oh man, it's like, if you don't walk down the street, eyes forward, head up, shoulders back, something's wrong with you. And they start looking at you, what's the matter with you, what's the matter? And they're actually training people to recognize this stuff. People who aren't well groomed, people who have mental health issues, people who have, and reported it on it all. Anyway, soon we'll have Google Earth doing that for us. I don't know if you people have seen the new 3D Google Earth they let you look at. It doesn't quite let you look into everybody's windows, but at the level, I mean, it gives you enough sense of what is doable with this technology to know that you are naked and exposed. That's all there is to it. It's a fact of life. Until you start figuring out how to shield human emotions, a human biosignature, human bioenergetic signature, and the torsion field. That some guy just sent me this thing. They said experimental whatever. They took a metal grid or mesh bowl, half a bowl, bowl, and they hung it over someone's head on a pendulum, a torsion pendulum, and they hooked it up to a little computer that could measure its turns and wiggles, and with no air moving, and the thing perfectly still, and they sit somebody under it, and sure enough, it starts spinning, it starts turning in this slow way, a few milligrams of pressure. And the weird thing is that even after the person leaves, it continues to spin for like 15 or 20 minutes in the same energetic, "Hey, how are you?" Torsion. It's a nice girl who sometimes has a flea market, and we buy things from her. This torsion field, this twisting, turning, toroidal, whatever. Anyway, so The other thing I wanted to mention was the bioenergy. Is that there's a company called Plessey in England, Plessey, that makes sensors that they're pushing on the open market for things like alarm systems and biological integration. Like when you sit in your car will know how fast your heart is beating and will know your brain waves, you know. These are sensors that receive scalar energy, extreme high capacitance sensors. I don't know exactly how they work, but interesting technology. It lets you know how many people are in the room, you know, that kind of stuff. How many living things there are, where they are, and what kind of energies they're putting out. So, I don't know, the sky just fascinates me these days. The way that everything looks. Because it all looks so different to me. Oh yeah, one last thing. Yeah, the sky looks so much bigger to me now. Just differently bigger. Even though it's never really blue, it's always sort of gray blue. Titanium dioxide micro lenses. Hey, God bless you. They've developed a micro lens that you put on the thing you're trying to look at. It's made of little tiny nano titanium dioxide lenses that split the light up into millions and billions of concentrated individual photonic beams. Changes the whole scattering of it, and then you can get a 5x increase on your microscope. So if you have 1000x, you get now about 5000x, which is pretty interesting for optical microscopes. There are a few designers of some serious optical microscopes that can see down to the nanoscale, because they've managed to get beyond the law in physics that says you can't see something smaller than this because the light will interfere with itself and whatever. But I wish I could remember what I was trying to say. That God makes beautiful things and man makes crap, basically. I mean, there are some beautiful things that man makes, some art and music and, you know, whatever, but for the most part these days, I think that fine craftsmanship and care about what we make and I find the weirdest stuff. Anyway, thanks for watching. God bless you all.